Hello from Snowdonia National Park. So after 3 weeks in Iceland, it is just nice to see the sun again. Now, as much as I'd love to just talk about some of the beauty of Snowdonia, in this vlog, I wanted to tackle something that I've been meaning to tackle for a while. And to give you a little background, this is just month 2 for me of being location independent. However, I've been traveling for about 6 years. And before that, I never wanted to travel at all. I had never been on a plane, so I'd certainly never been out of the country. I did my first technical conference about 6 years ago. I went and spoke overseas here in Scotland, actually, and I discovered a love for travel, but I also discovered that a lot of the fears I had of travel came down to things that I actually had control over with. But one of the big things for me was packing. You're about to go on a hike, and you feel like, gosh, should I bring this with me or not? Do I really need to bring my tripod with me? Do I need to bring my second camera body with me? Or should I just bring the smallest stuff I can? Over time, you just get good at knowing, oh, I should probably bring this with me. I should probably leave this behind. But we all make mistakes. Landscape photography in particular, you can't predict pretty much any of it. So because of that unpredictability, that means that a lot of times you make a wrong call. So as a minimalist, one of the outworkings is that if you ever get to the point where you're questioning if you should have something with you or not all of the time, maybe you shouldn't have it with you at all. Minimalism is about discovering the core dependencies that allow you to be successful in your art. And normally we think of minimalism as an artistic style or maybe as a decor style, but minimalism is a lifestyle and a mindset that says instead of trying to remove things from your life, start from nothing and add back only what is essential. And that applies especially with travel. So in this vlog, I want to talk a little bit about some of the ways that I've cut down the amount of gear I carry. So that way I've been able to travel the world with one bag. In fact, this is the bag that I travel the world with for an indefinite period of time. It has all my camera gear, all my clothes in it. It's really convenient going through the airport, going through security, because I never have to check anything, which is great. Checked bags don't always have a good reputation with camera gear. Getting down to this one bag has taken time. It's probably taken a good 3 years of optimizing my packing and experimenting and making mistakes. Clothing is easily the most affordable way you can start cutting down on the amount of packing you do and also makes your trip a lot more pleasant. Now, this is a landscape photography channel, so you may not be all that interested in clothing. So I figured I'd break this up into 2 parts. Today, I'll focus on some of the camera gear optimizations I've been doing over the last year or so. The biggest thing that you can do to help yourself now is not to add anything to your kit, but to start by eliminating. For example, I don't travel with multiple lenses. I don't travel with multiple camera bodies. I don't travel with multiple pairs of shoes. I don't travel with more than 2 articles of any particular type of clothing. And I've always been a bit of a minimalist at heart. I like the challenge of getting away with as little as possible while still producing the best artwork I possibly can. I would try leaving behind another lens. I would try leaving behind a second pair of shoes, little things like that. It all adds up, especially when you're trying to get down to one pack that's only 10 kilograms or less, which is kind of the magic number if you want to take advantage of a lot of budget airlines. So 10 kilograms or less and getting it in this tiny little bag is quite a challenge, and you do it over time by experimenting. So it may sound crazy to you to travel with only one lens. This is not gospel. Don't expect to launch into 3 months or 6 months or a year of travel of landscape photography and just automatically know what you can leave behind. You need to experiment. So start taking day trips. I recommend trying to schedule several weekends over a period of a few months where you do short landscape photography trips to see if you can get to the point where you can start leaving stuff out of your kit. Maybe just leave it behind at the hotel and see if you miss it or not. Take notes. Once you've eliminated as much as possible, then you should ideally have very little gear left, and that you can focus on optimizing. I'm not going to make a camera recommendation. I'm actually still shooting on a 6-year-old Canon camera, so it's big and bulky. I don't really think that's an easy place to optimize. However, there are some other places that cost a lot less that you can start optimizing now without getting yourself into trouble. So let me talk to you about a fun one. Here in my camera slot, I really don't have much room. I've got room for the camera and a tiny bit of space at the bottom for pretty much everything else. That's where all my camera gear has to squeeze into. When you first got your camera, you got the neck strap with it. And the neck strap is surprisingly good. It's very small, it's very light, And because it's so flexible, you can just stick it in and not have to try to fold it up carefully. Unfortunately, it's got the logo plastered over it. Yeah, who wants to walk around with a neck strap that says Canon, Nikon, Sony? So you go looking for a camera strap, and then moreover, you might be tired of putting all that weight on your neck, so you go looking for a shoulder strap. A few months ago, I was using Peak Design's slide shoulder strap. It was a little bit on the big side and very well padded. And so as a landscape photographer, you're constantly taking your camera in and out of your bag, and trying to squeeze it back into this little slot was very time consuming. So I went looking and looking and looking for a more minimalist strap, realizing that, hey, I normally wear a jacket, that's padding, and I normally don't have the camera around my neck for any more than 20 minutes because otherwise it's probably going back in the bag for a hike. So I went looking at some different designs. About that time, Peak Design released a new version, or excuse me, a new addition to their line of straps called the Leash. Now, you might wonder, hey, why is it not connected to the other end? Well, the base plate is holding the camera that you're looking at now. But it's a neck strap that also extends to be a shoulder strap. And I love this strap because it's adjustable. I can go between the two modes really easily. It's got this little lock here. You can pull up on it and make it shorter or longer. Because it doesn't have any special padding, I don't have any difficulties just folding it in and tossing it back in the slot. But now let's talk about some of the bigger ticket items in your kit, and that is your tripod. The last thing you want to do is ask yourself, should I grab my tripod or not? You're always going to need it when you don't have it with you. You want to go as light as possible, and there's going to be a particular threshold for you. For me, my threshold was about 2.5 pounds. When it got heavier than that, I tended to leave it behind, and I would very often need it because I'd come across a lake or a stream or a waterfall, and I'd be like, oh man, I need to do a long exposure. So I love this. This is by Ciroi. Ciroi is a Chinese brand, but they have fantastic build quality. I'm stunned at how good this build quality is, and it folds up to less than 17 inches. TSA doesn't always like to see tripods, especially if they have spiked feet. It's not unheard of for them to pull it aside and for you not to get through security with it. Maybe you have to try to check it or have it shipped home. Because this folds up to less than 17 inches, because it's a 5-section carbon fiber tripod, it folds up small enough it can fit in the bag itself. Unfortunately, this particular tripod is discontinued, I think. This is Ciroi's T2205X. It's carbon fiber, so super light. They have some alternatives nowadays that I think are similar specs. This isn't too much. This was, I think, around $200 to $300. I should clarify here that if you're interested in ultralight packing, thinking it's going to save you money, this is definitely not a budget landscape photography post or vlog or tips or guides. In fact, it's upfront probably going to cost you more, because for that one quality item to replace those 5 low quality items, the one quality item is probably going to cost even more than the 5 together. It's not going to save you money. That said, this particular brand does make very affordable and really solid tripods. So I'm really impressed with the Ciroi. This is my latest optimization. This is Really Right Stuff's BH30 ball head, and I just shot with it for 3 weeks in Iceland, and it's really easy to twist and change under cold temperatures and under cold conditions. And I love that it has the independent pan knob. The Ciroi had that as well, but it was much beefier. It had much more girth to it, which made it harder to fit in my bag. One of the key optimizations I did, they've got about 6 versions of this top plate. I went for the knob version with the smallest plate possible. They also have a clamp version that's a wider base, but that meant more weight and it was harder to fit in my pack. I love this version. I've been using the twist knobs for so long that I don't even notice it. A lot of people prefer the clamp version. I love the knob version, and after spending 3 weeks in Iceland, I didn't have any trouble turning the twist knobs or anything. So I'm really happy with this. It is expensive. Ball heads always are. And at least with Ciroi or some of these off brands, you can get really good quality workmanship for a lot less. This is the real deal. This is about a 10-ounce ball head, which was about 6 ounces lighter than what I was coming from. So a significant upgrade. Since I've eliminated most of my equipment, what does remain, that's all I've had to optimize. So what I just showed you is pretty much the last of the optimizations I've done. Now again, none of this is cheap. Optimizing your gear is very expensive, and so you should tie every optimization to a very particular goal and very particular pain point. Start by eliminating first, then once you can very clearly articulate those pain points and say, I want to cut down the weight by 4 ounces, I want to cut down the bulk of this by X inches, that's when you start optimizing, because it is going to be pricey. And yeah, it's Christmas, so wish list time, right? But you really don't want to prematurely optimize anything. Premature optimization is the root of all wasteful spending. And every time I've fallen into the trap, my wallet has been sad. So if you're looking for a more economical way to start optimizing your pack, that's what we'll talk about next vlog. We're going to talk about clothing and wardrobe. We're going to go into clothing 101, merino wool. It's amazing. All that good stuff, because clothing is a whole lot cheaper than anything camera gear related, and it's going to make your travel a lot more pleasant. And that's something that you can start optimizing now, and it will make travel anywhere more pleasant. But we'll get into that next vlog. So make sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with the latest on location vlogs, digital nomad tips, and landscape photography tutorials.